So, if you're an adult who doesn't subscribe to Disney Plus, you might not have seen a little animated film from Pixar entitled Turning Red, the heartwarming story of a 13-year-old girl in Toronto who helps out at her parents' historic Chinese temple while also hanging out with her friends and daydreaming about teenage convenience store employees and boy bands. Oh, also it's set in 2002, seemingly just because the filmmakers really wanted you to believe that these girls really do love this boy band. It's a sweet, charming little film about being your true self, overcoming seemingly mundane intergenerational trauma, overbearing parents, and, well, getting your period. It's not the least subtle metaphor in the world. I mean, shit, it's literally titled Turning Red. And there's even a point where our protagonist May has just transformed into a giant red panda, and her mother, thinking that this is her daughter's first visit from Aunt Flo, brings her a comically large pile of pads, and later basically does the same when she flails around outside a classroom. It's a cute way of exploring this thing that every girl goes through. Open and shut case, right? Right? Like any media aimed at children, there has of course been some controversy over Turning Red. The most notable in the mainstream, I think, is the 2.5-star review from Cinema Blend written by Sean O'Donnell. The article is subtitled, "I am not this film's target audience." Which, as a straight white male who enjoys watching movies about literally anything and everything, including more than my fair share of gay pornography, what? As the opening 2 paragraphs read, "The finest Pixar animation features, in this critic's opinion, play to a universal audience. We all imagined our adolescent toys coming to life during playtime and feared the shadows that lingered in our closets or under our beds. By exploring these themes in Toy Story and Monsters, Inc., Pixar's animators and storytellers constructed comedic yet emotional adventures that virtually everyone could watch and absorb relatable life lessons. Some, depending on your upbringing, being more relatable than others. Recently, though, Pixar has turned its reins over to fresh voices and given them the freedom to share deeply personal, though less universal, stories. Films like Onward, Luca, and now the studio's Turning Red come from the heart without question. But they also risk alienating audience members who can't find a way into the story beyond admiring the impressive animation that is the Pixar trademark." Soon after, he describes the manic energy as more exhausting than entertaining. Sir, you're writing a review for a movie aimed at preteens. It's gonna be a bit manic. I will give Sean this much. He repeatedly references Teen Wolf, and yeah, Turning Red is essentially just Teen Wolf. I mean, like, a better version, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. Now, most of the review is either explaining the plot and the metaphor behind the title, along with a weird jab about May's creative process, reminding him of the far superior Mitchells vs. the Machines. He suggests that that film at least remembered the broad audience, while also contending with a female character's journey. Which, I mean, sure, Mitchells may very well be the better realized film, I guess, but I can't help but remain struck by the idea of this broad audience films are meant to be appealing to. For me, and perhaps this is just because of my niche tastes, the best films from a social perspective are those that give me a new or more well-rounded understanding of a person or culture I'm not intimately familiar with. And I suppose in a way this is a film like that, although I don't find the idea of menstruation particularly foreign. After all, roughly half the population deals with that natural body function directly, so like, that's a pretty big chunk of the viewing audience, unless my math is off. And like, if it's referring to overbearing parents or something, like, shit, are there people out there that didn't deal with overbearing parents? Good for you guys. Then there's the final paragraph. There's an audience out there for Turning Red, and when that audience finds the movie, I've no doubt they will celebrate it for the unique animal that it is. In my opinion, however, that audience is relatively small, and I'm not part of it. Is it 'cause you're not a woman, Sean? Because I don't think it is. I think it might have something to do with Chinese Canadians and the very strong likelihood that you are maybe a tad racist. Just a smidge. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? The audience is relatively small? Sean, do you think that Do you think that white people can't relate to Canadians? Is that it? Or, wait. Is it the Chinese thing? Because it couldn't possibly be the period thing, because again, half the fucking population, Sean. Anyway, Sean did apologize for this after being rightfully dragged for what is, at the most base level, just bad film criticism. If your whole review of an animated children's film amounts to, man, I really can't empathize with a 13-year-old Chinese-Canadian girl going through puberty, then like, maybe you shouldn't be reviewing the fucking movie. Just say it. There are plenty of writers out there, some of whom may even already be working for Cinema Blend, who the movie is either aimed at or who have the necessary amounts of empathy in their fucking bodies to write about it objectively. Let them have it. That's a bit unfair. I guess all film criticism is naturally subjective, but you get the idea. Anyway, what I really wanted to talk about is this shit, the Facebook post. Ooh. Now, normally I wouldn't drag some rando, but this chick got like 34,000 comments and has since turned off replies, so you know what? Fair game. And just throwing this out there real quick, don't seek out and bully this woman. I've cropped out her name, but this is a pretty viral post. As such, I implore my audience, never be a bully, never seek out a person to bully. This video is merely meant to make a point and be funny to people who like my dumb voice. Okay? Cool. Let's dig in. Parents beware. I don't usually do this because of the straight up ruthless and vicious hatred I've been getting below, but here we go. Bitch. Bitch. Maybe if you don't usually do this, you should try, I don't know, figuring out why you're getting dragged to fuck over it. Just a heads up to all the parents out there, the Disney movie Turning Red is not for kids at all, especially not for families trying to keep their children close to Jesus. Jesus had a bleeding vagina. There, I said it. Jesus was a woman. A black woman. Ah! Yes, I know Disney movies don't instill Christian values, and I don't look to them to do so. But you are. But typically, there are important and valuable life lessons being taught. You will find the complete opposite in this movie. That's right, Turning Red is, satanic? Is that the opposite? No, it's an atheist screed. Can I rate a movie 6 stars in Letterboxd? Actually, that makes this way better. And actually, hold up. This line is also suggesting that there are no important life lessons being taught. Y'all, I think we might have an overbearing parent here. Sad day, Disney. It had the potential to be so cute. Parents beware. What is this, the fucking opening to Goosebumps? Also, lady, it's about a 7-foot-tall giant red panda. It is cute. Just a few things that stood out. The little girl talks about at age 13, you're your own person, an adult. You can do what you want, say what you want, etc. Yeah, she's 13. She thinks that. That's how 13-year-olds think. Ariel was a teenager who thought she could go and do as she pleased. Moana left her island at 16 to go team up with a tattooed demigod. And shit, just look at half the Disney princesses. Freaking Cinderella was explicitly told by her legal guardians to not attend the ball. And she did. And then that prince presumably fucked the shit out of her. Hell, Luca ran off to do his own thing and ignore his family's wishes. Teenagers gonna teenage, y'all. Her and her 3 friends talk so poorly about their parents and come up with a plan to sneak out and go to a boy band concert, which they end up doing. Again, teenagers. The girls sneak out to a co-ed party as well to give boys rides as a panda to raise money for the concert. She's literally a giant mystical panda. I'd give boys rides for money too. Don't clip that. One girl says her parents won't let her go because the band sounds like stripper music. Mommy, what's a stripper? A working woman, son. The girls talk about going to the concert as girls, but leaving as true women after. Come on. Come on, really? Really? Are we being serious right now? I don't even have anything for this one. It's literally a joke about their excitement using a common phrase. I get the feeling that if this were a bunch of boys going to, like, I don't know, a party or something, and they said, we're going in as boys, but leaving as men, there would be zero issue here. The word crap is used. Well, fuck. So much emphasis is put on her friends encouraging her to be this new rebel she has become and embracing it, that she no longer has to be this straight-edge, overachiever girl under her parents' wings. So much rebellion encouraged. Again, this is about teenagers. I don't know what you expect. Teens rebel. Basically, every Disney movie is about this. Not literally, obviously, but, this one just includes a realistic friend group. That's all. That's the big difference. And they're Asian, I guess, is also, although, now that I'm thinking about it, there's another Disney movie about an Asian, or actually a Chinese protagonist that recently got a live-action remake that's also about rebelling against authority. Wild.
That's close enough!
The ritual is super freaky, where she is levitated by her chest into the air while surrounded by adults chanting, and spirits are called out of her. I'll actually give her this one. This one shot does look like something out of a horror movie, and I guess some of the panda spirit stuff could be pretty freaky to a little kid, but again, it's rated PG, and this is 100% PG material. Just look at Temple of Doom.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potatoes.
She tells her Tamagotchi it's about to meet its daddy and uncles, referring to the band members being her Tamagotchi's daddy. There is a big scene about the girl getting her period and her mom bringing pads to her school and embarrassing her. So the fuck what? I'm not sure what the actual criticism is here. Is it that the film is showing the audience what a period requires? Or is it about the overbearing mom? Because I came into this thinking the former, but I'm starting to really feel like the latter. The little girl draws sexy, her words not mine, pictures of her crush who works at the gas station. Her mom finds the drawings of her shirtless crush and brings them to the store and accuses the boy of being 30 and a pedophile. He says he's 17 and she says, well, that's what happens when you do drugs all day and don't wear sunscreen. And it's a funny gag. Also, she doesn't use the word pedophile, but thanks for fucking up my monetization. At the end, the girl stands up to her mom and says she likes boys, music, and gyrating.
What are you doing? Stop moving like that!
Says she's 13, so deal with it. Yeah, she's 13.
Deal with it!
The little girl then starts twerking at her mom and smacking her butt, saying, take this, mom, take this. Yeah, and she's a panda. Also, the whole point is that she's trying to distract her so that they can perform the ritual to stop her from being a giant fucking kaiju panda. What's the problem? Final quote, when the little girl decides to turn into a panda in public and her mom asks her not to, she says, my panda, my choice. Read into that what you'd like. Well, first of all, it's a joke. But beyond that, what I'm reading into all this is that you seem to be extremely uncomfortable showing your children movies about, well, being children. This movie forces parents to actually parent. Oh my God. Sometimes parenting is about having difficult conversations with your children that you might not be ready for, but they are. It's up to you to explain it to them in an age-appropriate way. Hence the rating PG, which stands for, say it with me now, Parental Guidance Suggested. The conversation you would have about this movie with, say, a 4-year-old versus a 13-year-old or any age in between is going to be different and up to you, but these are all natural elements of any person's life, which are going to be interpreted differently based on what age your child is. Like, I mean, a 4-year-old's not even gonna pick up on half this shit. Even if that, like 80% of the shit is gonna go over their heads. We all contend with big emotions. Perhaps, that's to do with the expectations we place on children to regulate their emotions when we can't do that ourselves, or maybe it's just the natural phenomenon of drawing potentially pornographic pictures of the local convenience store clerk. But here's the thing. While these stories do inevitably make the rounds, and believe me, I could read posts like this about like how the film is satanic or woke or whatever for hours. They're definitely out there. I think it's important that when this happens, we remember that we are in an age where negativity rules, to the point there's even toxic positivity that's come around the other side. We spend our limited time on this earth in a pool of opinions where the most dumb shit negative points of view float to the surface with a shiny beacon on them just in case you missed out on the conversation. This basically boils down to social media is a fucking cancer on society and is an endless assault on our mental stability. It's in these times when we are inundated with viral negativity that if we're going to be doom scrolling, we can at least pull over and appreciate the less infuriating moments. Here's a few posts I found on Facebook. I've censored the surnames and profile pictures just in case. My daughter has social anxiety, which causes anger issues. She will be 11 next month. She saw herself in the red panda, and it helped her normalize the hard emotions she deals with. She didn't even correlate the puberty period issue parents have with the film. To her, the message was, strong emotions are normal. It's okay to feel them, and you do have control over how to express them. She has watched it several times. I watched it with my 4-year-old, thinking it was for a younger audience, but I really liked it. Given that we live in the age of social media, whatever your kids don't learn from a Disney movie, they'll learn from an app on their phone or their friend's phone. What's more critical is what you teach your children and what values you show them. As a Christian mom, I wasn't offended by it at all. Honestly, I was pleased and surprised how they talked about puberty. People need to stop acting like their kids don't have hormones and stop being so oppressed. And then there's this one. We loved it. My 11-year-old daughter with type 1 diabetes loved it specifically because there are 2 glances of characters with diabetes, first ever in a Pixar film, and my 5-year-old son has watched it probably 5 times already. We are turning red fans in this house. Rad stuff, Pixar. Anyway, it's too bad that you couldn't be in the fucking movie theater with this shit, because fucking Disney decided you were just streaming quality. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, there were also several posts on a cursory search that noted that the film is rated PG, and sure, while I hardly find 2 or 3 seconds of pads or an overbearing mom who comes around to her daughter's self-expression to be in need of guidance, that is in the end up to the individual parent. I could certainly understand a mother or father really wanting to save that talk for another year and perhaps getting caught off guard, receiving some questions and getting a bit frustrated or embarrassed. That's reasonable. Again, I don't really get it, but as noted with the Cinema Blend review, it's okay to not completely relate.
What?
Oh fuck, and go watch a movie.